From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your evening update.
You want to go where to buy a new refrigerator? Steve's A to Z Appliance in Cottonwood? In Cottonwood? Just a 10-minute drive. And they'll save us money. New and used, honest, reliable, factory-trained repair service and parts, and they'll save us money. And dispose of this thing? We gotta make the short drive to Steve's A to Z. Thanks, hon.
Steve's A to Z Appliance, front and main streets in Cottonwood. Drive a little, save a lot.
Good evening, everyone. Well, the weekend is pretty much here, isn't it? It's not going to be as hot this weekend. Not that bad today, was it? And I do expect a little bit warmer tomorrow, but nothing all that noticeable, so it should be a very nice weekend. You know, as a friend of mine said, it's not going to be blazing hot, but at least it's just going to be hot. We can certainly deal with that. Warming trend as we go into next week here, but, you know, it's going to warm up probably around the triple digits for some of the warmer spots in the valley around mid next week. But overall, I'm not seeing any major heat waves here making their way into the forecast here anytime soon. In fact, we cool things back off again towards the end of next week. All right, so let's take a look at your Krueger's Quickcast for your Friday, June 13th, and starting off with our temperatures tonight. You know, it's going to be very nice for anything you may have planned for this evening. Just beautiful weather for it, no rain, temperatures mild, and cooling off here for tonight and tomorrow morning. You may be able to open up those windows and let some of that cooler air in overnight into tomorrow morning with 40s for most of the higher elevations, mid to upper 40s tonight for the coast. So out the door tomorrow morning, maybe you're getting ready to go for a hike or head out to the lake or whatever it is you want to do here for tomorrow. Should be a nice coolish start to the day, especially in the mountains, and even the upper 60s at 8 o'clock for the valley. So we've got this storm system off to the north. We've got a series of storms really that are coming in from the Gulf of Alaska and even west of that. As long as those continue to ride to our north, we will keep our temperatures at bay. So let's take a look at futurecasts and start off with the potential for any rain. Now, yesterday afternoon, we did see and some isolated showers here. We could see another chance for a few stray sprinkles or light showers, especially say in Siskiyou, northwestern Modoc County. But another thing you'll notice here is there will be kind of some widespread high-level clouds out there that'll blanket us here through a good portion of the day tomorrow. And that will also help to keep those temperatures at bay. But those high clouds don't bring any rainfall, right? And it looks like even some clearing skies here for the coast for your Saturday afternoon. Now the winds, they are also expected to die down, of course, as we expect here for tonight, tomorrow morning, and they'll pick up in the afternoon, but not as bad as what we saw here for today. A little breezy off to the east and a little breezy on the coast, but really not that bad for the valley when we're talking about those winds. Temperature-wise, around 90, upper 80s to about 90 in the valley, and looks like mainly in the 70s, 80s for the higher elevations, and we're talking upper 50s for your daytime highs for the coast, so no big surprises there. Taking a look at your 7-day forecast for the valley, low 90s through Monday, and then we're back up to the upper 90s, about 100 degrees here for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but yeah, temperatures do start to drop again as we get towards the end of next week. Taking a look at the coast, inland and for Trinity County, the coast, you'll just average out around 60, give or take. Temperatures are going to be in the 80s for the inland areas here, anywhere from the low to even mid 80s. And for Trinity County, you're going to be in the 80s at least through Tuesday, and then we start to see that spike, especially for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, nothing major, and then another dip in our temperatures by Friday. And that's really the same trend for everybody else, even in the mountains. Now, for Saturday, Sunday, Mount Shasta could see a stray sprinkle or light shower, but otherwise you're dry. Not enough to cancel any outdoor plans over, by the way, so I wouldn't really be too concerned about that. All right, that's a look at your Krueger's Quickcast for your Saturday. Hey, remember that we have a free Weather NorCal app here at Weather NorCal. Just go to your app store, search for Weather NorCal, and download the app for free. Everything you need is right there on your phone. Check it out. Free app, 100% free. Here's a look at your fire weather forecast, sponsored by Garmin's Tractor Service. And you know, those winds, as I mentioned, they are going to be dying down here, as we typically would expect overnight and tomorrow morning. But even in the afternoon tomorrow, yeah, a little breezy off to the east. Not that big of a concern, though, and a little breezy for parts of the coast as well. Now, as we go into your Sunday, the winds may pick up a little bit stronger for the valley and even off to the east, but again, nothing noticeably that much of an issue. Now, what does that mean for our fire weather risk? Well, as we take you through Saturday, we're going to be in the moderate range here, still very dry, right? We're still in the single digits for the valley and in the teens for many of you in the eastern mountains, but no orange on the map indicating no high fire weather risk. However, as mentioned, that will elevate a little bit as those winds pick up just slightly on Sunday. So now we're in the moderate to barely within that high range for parts of the valley. Still very dry and still dry off to the east. But once again, looking at this map, nothing alarming here over the weekend. Taking a look at your satellite image, as mentioned, we've got a series of storms coming in from the north. As long as those continue to ride to our north, we have got some beautiful weather in store for us. So let's take a look at that potential over the weekend for any showers. There's the fog, which, we're going to be looking at a lot more clearing here over the weekend off and on for the coast. We're also seeing those clouds developing, as I mentioned, that high thin veil of clouds over most of Northern California and maybe a stray sprinkler light shower in Siskiyou County. Gets a little bit more aggressive as we take you through Sunday afternoon with that potential for showers. So we still have that slight chance for Siskiyou County. But again, not anything I'm really setting in stone in the forecast. Just note that there is that potential even in northwestern Modoc County, maybe even out towards Del Norte County as well. But certainly not enough for us to cancel any outdoor plans over the weekend. So there is the cooler air that's starting off with us for today. That shifts off to the north. That lingers, right? But the heat that's over the desert southwest, that's staying put all weekend long and all next week. As we advance this, you'll see that this is just staying put. And for the most part, this right here is going to kind of stretch out. So that heat will push eastward, but you see how it stays to our south and just fizzles out. So again, this is staying put. We've got high pressure building way off to our west, and there's that trough of low pressure with cooler air associated with it. So temperatures increase a bit for the middle of next week, but by the end of next week, that cooler air begins to cool down, and we see our temperatures drop as a result. And you'll see that in the 10-day trend. You see how the temperatures are going up, and then they start to drop back down again toward the end of next week and into that next weekend. Let's take a look at those wave heights. They're going to be a little high. In fact, there is that small craft advisory through Saturday evening, but that should be allowed to be lifted by the time we do get into Sunday. As you can see, it's beginning to back off a bit here for Sunday afternoon. Here's your Trinity County neighborhood forecast. Temperatures are going to be the mid to 80s here on average here, although Ruth about 79 degrees. You'll notice no rain, no thunderstorms in the forecast for the next 7 days. For the coast, averaging out around 60, give or take, over the next 7 days here. And taking a look at the inland areas, a bit of that roller coaster ride. They're going up and down a bit here, but overall looking at some pretty pleasant weather, staying in the 80s for the most part. For Siskiyou County, we've got maybe a slight chance for a stray sprinkle or light shower for Saturday and Sunday, but those chances should diminish here by the time we do get into Monday. And maybe northwestern Modoc County. So for example, Tule Lake, Newell, Canby, Ayden, maybe a slight chance Saturday, Sunday as well, but otherwise, I think it'll be dry everywhere else, and really even northwestern Modoc County most likely dry as well. Eastern mountains, you've got dry conditions all weekend long, staying in the 80s through Monday, back up to the 90s by Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And for the valley neighborhood forecast, temperatures are going to be in the upper 80s to low 90s, but warming up. Not quite 100 degrees for Oroville, but it will be close, and that's also the case for Chico. I think it'll be up to 99 for the peak of that heat wave on Wednesday, and then temperatures start to slowly drop after that, going toward the end of the week. There you can see 91 degrees for Redding and 90 degrees for Cottonwood, 90 in Red Bluff and Lakehead, a high of about 85 degrees for that daytime high. Taking a look at your 7-day forecast for Redding, again, we're going to be watching those temperatures kind of spike a bit for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday before they drop back down into the low to mid 90s by next Friday. That's your evening update. I'll be back again on Monday morning at 6 a.m. and live on Mike Krueger at 6:30. In the meantime, you can watch the latest forecast with Chase Wilson throughout the weekend. Have a great weekend, everyone.